Much of this afternoon's business was taken up with a discussion of a motion calling for increased funding for primary schools. All sides, as expected, want more money channelled into primary level education. Education as a talking point has seen a lot of cut and thrust all through the year, and today was not much different. There were a couple of areas of disagreement, funnily none of them to do with schools. Here's Martina Anderson of Sinn Féin.
At the heart of this debate, there needs to be a realisation that because of the constraints we operate under, due to the fact that some in this chamber and across the north seek to retain the link with Westminster, which gives a limited block budget that results in this Assembly being only able to deliver so much for the people we are elected to represent. The reality is that the block budget we receive is simply not adequate to provide the kind of services we want to see for our people. The members in this chamber need to make a decision. Do we want to continue as a plastic parliament with all the pomp and ceremony but little of the substance? Or do we want to take control of our own destiny, to take control of fiscal matters, to take control of policing, justice powers, and to start delivering real and meaningful change for all of our people?
Well, as you might imagine, that went down well on the unionist benches. So that was what had Edwin Poots so animated, and when he faced an intervention from a former combatant from his ministerial days, he was not happy. Here's how it played out.
Call Mr. Edwin Poots. Mr. Poots.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I apologise for not being in earlier in the debate. I was with the construction industry who are facing very real problems. And one of the issues that they raised was the capital projects not being delivered in schools and in hospitals. And we have an industry in crisis because decisions aren't being made to move ahead quickly with capital projects. And we have schools which are crying out for those facilities to be built. Certainly I will, yes.
Member agree with me that the Minister handed back £37 million last year because of capital projects that she was unable to deliver.
Yes, I'm very well aware of that, and it's certainly very disappointing because I know that there's many schools out there that are needing capital works carried out, and they need to get those facilities put in place. And instead of that, we have the Minister handing the money back to the Westminster administration, and that's to the detriment of our children. It's to the detriment of our industry, and it's to the detriment of our country here in Northern Ireland. Coming to the subject which we are talking about today, yes, certainly will. Yes.
Would the member agree that his singular failure to preside over the development of a multi-sport stadium at Long Kesh and the creation of 4,000 jobs would have done much for the construction industry?
Yes,
the member wishes to enter into a debate in sports, he can lay down a motion on sports. We're talking about education today, Mr McElduff. We're talking about education, and if you're not interested in education, you'd be as well moving out of the chamber.
Please.
We're going to discuss education irrespective of what you wish to do. In terms of what we're talking about...
Could I ask all members... Order, please. Could I ask all members to refer the marks to the Chair?
Well, Martina's with me here. Martina, we saw Edwin Poots there in action, getting somewhat animated, as I said earlier. He seems to almost be enjoying himself now on the backbenches.
Well, I think he's quite free now to say much more of what he wants to people like Barry McElduff, the Culture Committee Chairman. They're old sparring partners, but perhaps in the past Edwin Poots might have felt he couldn't go too far with Barry McElduff because he needs to keep his chairman on side. The more poisonous the relationship gets, the more difficult it is for a minister. So the gloves are off, he's nothing to lose, so he just swatted Mr McElduff back today. And
to some extent he's becoming an expert on all issues. We've seen him popping up obviously on the Mays issue today. He was getting stuck in education. He's speaking up for the construction industry, a man for all seasons.
Well, that's right, but I think once you've been in the executive, you see quite a lot of briefing papers that maybe the rest of us don't see. So he not only knows about the Department of Culture, he knows quite a lot about all the other departments. So in some ways, from the executive's point of view, he's a bit more dangerous creature once he's on the backbenches, able to ask all kinds of questions.
OK, thanks. Now, the motion that was being debated was carried after 2 hours of debate, long enough some might think, but it underran, which prompted Basil McRae to get to his feet with a suggestion that didn't go down well with all the MLAs.
Mr Speaker, can I point out to you that the time allotted from the Business Committee for this debate was 2.5 hours, and that I did raise representation with you that speakers might have longer to talk if so wished, perhaps you would refer it back to the committee and ask, just bring it to their attention so that members that do want to speak longer or perhaps speak again could do so.
Order. Yes, happy enough to refer it back to the Business Committee on the whole issue of lengths of time for members for debates.
It probably would be a worthwhile exercise to reflect on the Hansard record of this debate, to see just how often the members repeated the same point ad infinitum. It was, I think, a very predictable and boring discussion at times.
Always the cut and thrust of debate. Order. Point of order.
Given the fact that Mitchell McLaughlin wasn't here for most of the debate, I don't see how he's in a position to pass judgment on it.
Members, order. Order. But just to come back on the point that Mr McCrae made, it needs to be said from a Business Committee point of view, all of the whips agreed to the time. All of the whips. 10 minutes for the proposer, 10 minutes for the wine, 25 minutes for the Minister and 5 minutes for every other member. So members need to be clear on that issue.
Predictable and boring, heaven forbid.